Check the mic and make sure it sound right.
In a very recent prior video I did, a couple ones before I did the short video about dropping the case, it was about Ripple's genesis and its funding and how it went from a fledgling startup to now a global behemoth, a financial giant, a global enterprise that is absolutely to be reckoned with. And in that I said, remember SBI Holdings? Well, this article here is 2 days old. It talks about Japan could approve an XRP ETF before the US thanks to its largest bank, SBI Holdings. And in covering this information, you'll see that they're applied to launch a Bitcoin and XRP ETF combined. That's very promising for both prices in all reality. It says several Japanese firms now rank in the top 100 Bitcoin treasuries globally. And Japanese regulators are currently mulling a proposal to categorize cryptocurrencies as financial products, not payment instruments. You think SBI Holdings had something to do with that and knew what they were doing? Because it says here, Japan's crypto scene is picking up speed with financial giant SBI applying to do the launch. And then, of course, what really matters is down here. Let me find it. I read this before, so I'll just read it again. Interestingly, SBI is a longtime Ripple backer. We know that now if you watch my prior video. Having invested in the firm back in 2016, in 2025, it's XRP's largest external shareholder with a 9% equity stake in the firm. So not only are they heavily invested in XRP, they are also heavily invested in Ripple. So let's talk about the Ripple effects. The success of the US spot Bitcoin Ethereum ETFs can't be overstated. Combined, they hold just over 166 billion in net assets, with Bitcoin funds representing 146.18 billion of this figure. This level of institution adoption has spurred massive price gains for the respective cryptos, ultimately affirming that adopting Bitcoin as a treasury asset, like Michael Saylor did in August 2020, no longer bears the same level of risks that it once did. I dare to differ. We shall see about Bitcoin. Like I've always said, and I will say again, Bitcoin will need to be grandfathered in as a store of value, and that's really all it's good for. It's like digital gold in the sense of storing safe value, and if they allow that to happen, then it's a good, sound investment. Otherwise, it's going to be outpaced, outclassed, and outdone by new generations of cryptocurrencies that actually are efficient, green, and fast. It's had a ripple effect now. Several other major Japanese firms have began pursuing Bitcoin as a treasury asset. You see how they're focusing on Bitcoin and they're trying to not talk too much about XRP. XRP is the real story here. And with institutional demand growing at a feverish rate, the nation may look to favorable crypto regulations, which can indeed see XRP ETFs launch in Japan. Here is a fact. The case is over now. Both sides have had their appeals dismissed, or they will be dismissed, but applied to have them dismissed. And there's really no reason for the judge not to accept it. That makes XRP, not Bitcoin, XRP, the absolute safest crypto asset on this planet, having gone through its rigmarole of the financial capital of the world, really, the U.S. economy and the U.S. legislative process. It's got free selling, which no other crypto asset can say. There's another article on this topic. SBI files for Bitcoin XRP ETF in Japan, pushing dual crypto exposure into regulated markets. Okay. It says it's structured to track the performance of both assets simultaneously. Okay, so that track the performance of both. I don't know if it's a spot one or not yet. Bear with me here. Direct exposure to both Bitcoin and XRP in a rare instance where XRP is formally bundled with Bitcoin in an institutional grade product. The crypto asset ETF is structured to track the performance of both assets simultaneously, providing a single entry point for investors seeking crypto exposure. I don't know if it's a spot ETF or not, but spot ETFs have not yet been approved for XRP. But by bundling it with Bitcoin, which your spot ETF has been approved, maybe SBI is doing some digital chess in that regard. But here's another thing I want to bring attention to about these developments that when I heard them, what came to my mind. Number one, the Tokyo Stock Exchange over here. It's hard to see. I'm sorry. It's what I found. I searched it up because what I really want to find is right here. You see this? $6.93 trillion market cap. It's been around for 140 some years, this Tokyo Stock Exchange. And I read that somewhere as well, right up here, 147 years ago. It's not no small change. And that's a lot of vested interest coming in from the largest bank in Japan. There's another thing that makes me think that this is a critical moment that once it occurs, we're going to see massive surge in price of XRP. And because of massive liquidity that will be entering into the market if Japan is successful at launching these ETF products. And it's images like these that we get familiar with, similar to this one from Mr. Poole, that is a hint towards Japan having a role in this massive liquidity that's supposed to occur. And it's other images like this one from the book of Ripple and Waves with Satoshi Nakamoto. If that is a Japanese name, I don't know what it is, but nonetheless, it's images like this that shows Japan would play a role, according to some of Mr. Poole's posts. And finally, this one here that shows that red dot coming and knocking those dominoes down. Again, representative to me of Japan. So my instinct tells me when I heard this news and I see articles like this, especially articles including SBI Holdings, remember it was a consortium of 61 banks when it initially invested in Ripple, the company, the fledgling company, open coins. But here's the point here, the ripple effect. Several other major Japanese firms have begun pursuing BTC as a treasury asset with institutional demand growing at a feverish rate. The nation may look to more favorable crypto regulations. We could indeed see XRP ETFs launch where? In Japan. And the US can't do anything about that. And that forced liquidity will get the US institutions off their butts. And when they get off their butts, liquidity comes rushing in, and then those stubborn dominoes start to fall. And for our sake, so that the Japan doesn't get the creme de la creme on price, the demand, the sense of urgency should elevate the price of the XRP token because they will be rushing to get it because the Japan is not subject to US regulations. And here we're talking about Japan stock exchanges. But see, crypto is a global market. That's all I got. I'm DK Will. This is DK Will Talk About It. And I've talked about it. Have a wonderful day.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right.